you've got ICBMs and, the submarines with the missile or the nukes and all that coming towards us. I did this NukeMap thing first. This is a Washington Post article that I have in the links below that talks about what the capabilities of Russia are. This is the Tsar Bomba, and I think this was 500 kilotons or 500 or 50 megatons is what this one was in 1961. With an intercontinental ballistic missile, I don't know that it would be, I think it would be in the like hundreds of kilotons, not megatons, right? I don't think they could fly a missile that big.
The Tsar Bomba was released off of an airplane. I think if it went nuclear, my hope is it would be a tactical nuke that would affect an area, and then the whole world would go to some conventional, like, oh, let's go stomp out Russia or do something like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a bad, if international nukes get launched, it's going to be a really bad day.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, and it does even 2 or 3, kind of thing. Like, what level of nukes is not a bad day for the world?
Yeah. Well, and like this chart right here,
planet.
This chart right here talking about how many they have in their stockpile, and then up a little further, you look at how many all these different countries have in their stockpile. It doesn't take 1,500, 6,000 missiles. It takes a few. So, yeah, it's ridiculous. The amount that there is ridiculous. But at any rate, I was talking about this NukeMap thing, and I've got a couple of these set up. With this one, I figured 5 megatons. I don't know exactly what ICBMs they have or on their subs or whatever, but I figured 500 or 5 megatons was somewhere in the middle, not some giant one. But this is what I was talking about with if the Springs gets nuked, NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain, all that stuff, and it probably will be. It'll be one of those targets. And I was thinking, well, I'm pretty good because I'm somewhere up here a little bit. I don't know. You can't see my cursor. I'm somewhere right above that, in between Denver and Colorado Springs. So if the wind's blowing the right direction that day, I'm good to go. But I also looked at this website right here. This is webpal.org. They do a lot of nuke stuff. And this is an older set of data that they're using. But these are the nuclear targets as of like the 90s of target. And they say in this too that this has probably changed. There's probably more. There's probably less. But so I use this as a kind of a guide to where the bombs would be dropping here in Colorado, right? I don't know what all this stuff is up at the top of Colorado. But Denver's toast, Colorado Springs toast, and Pueblo's toast. So what I did was on this map, I launched nukes at all of those, and this is the results of that. So if they go after the Springs, I'm fine. But with this map, I am right here in the middle of all of this. So if you look down here at this chart, you've got the 100 rads per hour fallout, 1,000 rads per hour fallout. I wouldn't be in that 1,000 rads, but I'd be that 10 to 100 area right there. So,
your hair would be falling out faster.
What's that?
Your hair would fall out even faster.
Yeah, it'd be pretty toast right here. And you know what? The direction I plan on going to is to the east if things got real bad and I had to get out. So maybe in this type of situation, I'm going, southwest or something like that. Trying to get over there.
I imagine you would probably want to plan, like, if that's like one of your big concerns, like when you start doing like risk assessment stuff, right? You look at that and you go, okay, where would you want to go? You'd probably want to head away from population centers, right? And like, I think your best bet would probably be head like northwest somewhere in there, or northeast, excuse me. Because there's not a lot of population out in Kansas and all those places. But if you start heading southwest and south and you start running into population set, you go and look at all the military bases down in Texas. There's military bases in New Mexico, and I mean a lot of them. But I think I'd look to where you're going and look and do that same drill right there and see what
what's going on up there.
Where you'd want to end up, because when you start laying down all the possible spots that might, you'd say would be high value nuke targets, well, you don't want to be near any one of those or downwind of them, right?
Yeah. And my feeling is if this did come to this nuclear Armageddon thing, I think the coast, the East Coast and the West Coast would probably be hammered. But who knows where there are, like I said, this website was from data from the 90s. Who knows where all of these things are? And then you've got nuclear power plants. I think this shows, yeah, this image right here is kind of hard to see because it's small, but this is the nuclear power plants across the country too. So the East Coast, if this stuff goes down, where are you going this summer? Aren't you going down to Georgia or somewhere in that direction?
This summer, no, I'm heading. I don't know where I'm headed. Maybe, dude, anywhere I go that's not where I'm at is where people are, and so I'm screwed.
Yeah,
Georgia, there's military bases. Where I live in California, where my dad lives, is right next to the jet. 10 minutes from the Jet Propulsion Laboratories. There's other stuff around there. So that place is just like you. Like if you live in close enough proximity to a bunch of big military bases and a bunch of key things, you're host, if that ever happens.
Yeah.
It's like Las Vegas. Las Vegas, that place is screwed. I mean, it's a big transportation hub for the United States. There's Nellis Air Force Base area, Area 51. All the stuff happens out of there. It's so much stuff. So like just certain cities, like, all right, man, you're going to get a front row seat at Armageddon.
Yeah. Well, and they say in that Washington Post article I shared, they talk about how it would take about 30 minutes if they did something like that, ICBMs. You'd have about 30 minutes. Now, the subs, if they had subs in, off the coast, who knows about that? But 30 minutes that talking about taking that route, I'm not getting to Kansas in 30 minutes.
No. Well, and then you got to think about it because like there's all that speculation that China may be trying to put nukes up in the satellites. So now your 30-minute timeline probably gets cut down to about 12.
Yeah, yeah. And I suppose the good thing about this, let me put this back on. The good thing about this is that we are not in the blast zones, I suppose, right? So
no, you're just in the die slowly zone.
Yeah, we're in the slow death zone. But my point with it is that there are things that we could actually, hunkering down, sealing windows, doing all that stuff you hear about all the time, are things that maybe thought about, because the fallout, it's not like the fallout is going to last for years and years. It's a few days, few weeks, depending on the amount and all that stuff. If they did the air launch, then you're worried about the EMP aspect of it, or not the air launch, the air detonation.
Well, don't forget too, man. Like since you're downwind and all that, it would still take however long from the detonation for that stuff to get down to you.
Yeah,
that's where you might have, and I don't know how long it takes for something to blow from Denver or Colorado Springs to you, but that's where you might have some time too to get to wherever you need to go. But like you said, where are you going to go? Like your safest place is probably in your house. Do you have a basement?
We do. Yeah, that's where I am right now. The bunker is what I call it. It's not really a bunker, but that's what I call it.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah. So and it's got one window down here. So it could be sealed up fairly easily, but yeah, I just I don't know, man. I luckily, like I said, I don't think this is that likely. Danelle's in the chat. Hey, Danelle, she said, "Hey, now can I get out of Vegas first, please?" You said Vegas is screwed, but yeah. Luckily, this isn't something that I see as likely. But it's not something that I just completely dismiss either, because it is something that who knows what scale and all that could kick off. Especially when you think about
you have a war that, see, the difference between like this war and other wars that we've either supported against, like when we supported stuff against against Afghanistan. We know the Russians supported the Vietnamese. We know there are Russian advisors there, and that we've gone back and forth. The difference with this is we're on Russia's border.
Yeah.
Right. And so there's a lot more. And Russia's committing a bunch of troops. Russia's been getting its ass handed to it in a lot because of all the technology we've been putting there. So I think there's a lot more emotion that might be, and reason to pop off that might be attached to this. So,
yeah, It's what makes me interested in this, because Putin is like that cornered bear, that, you know, if he's not going to go quietly. And I think that the people in Europe and even the United States, the power brokers, like you had talked about the other day, want him off the table, I think, or subservient or whatever it is. And I don't know. He's not just going to go. He's not just going to, you know, fold up and say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take off on my $14 million yacht and ride off into the sunset. I don't see that happening. So, and if it looks like that Russia is, Ukraine is a lost cause, what is his next move? So I guess it's just watch and let it play out. And, you know, eventually at some point, China's going to go after Taiwan. So what happens with that? Or is that all just a game too? That all, you know, just the United States talking a big game and then let it go?
Yeah.
Hey, everyone. Thanks again for watching.
Absolutely. Just as a reminder, you can help us defeat the censors by liking, subscribing, and sharing this or any of our videos. Don't forget to click the link below and visit the website. Over there, you can listen to any of the older podcast episodes and also get on the email list.
And best of all, you can help us give the finger to both the apocalypse and the censors alike.